Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing? Welcome back to another Tuesday live mini training session. I am excited to have you guys here. Welcome, everybody who's new in this group. I want to personally welcome you into this wonderful community that we created a few years ago, and I'm so happy that you're joining us today to learn a little bit more about Hashimoto's nutrition. So the way it works is on Tuesday, I go live for about 25 to 30 minutes with a topic top of mind. This topic today is going to tie into next week's challenge. So if you haven't registered yet, I highly recommend. It's a free challenge, so no cost involved, completely free, and it runs over the course of 4 days. Every day you get one masterclass with me, similar to what we're doing today, but a little bit more in depth. And you will get a workbook with lots of resources in it. You'll also get a meal plan and a recipe booklet that you can use throughout the challenge. The the challenge is for you if you have been super confused about what to eat and how to eat with Hashimoto's. If you are just so unsure about what foods to include, how food actually helps with Hashimoto's, because there's so many different opinions out there, and just information overload. This is for you. I myself have been living with Hashimoto's for 15 plus years, and I have learned a lot. I went back to the nutrition school. I have implemented a few things, or many things I'll say, for myself. And then also when I stepped out of my day job and stepped into Hashimoto's coaching, I have coached many women through the nutrition aspect of things, and that's what we're going to be going in depth in next week. So sign up for it. This session today is actually a little bit of a prep session for next week, but it'll also be super interesting for everybody who's not joining. Today, we're going to be talking about eliminating foods or not eliminating foods. What's the deal? What do we need to do really? So I really want to give you a good understanding today of how I see autoimmune nutrition, the autoimmune nutrition approach. And I believe that by the end of this session, you will walk away with a clearer understanding as to why sometimes just the eliminating part is not the end of the road. Sometimes you might have heard or you might have felt on your own that you hear that you need to eliminate gluten. You hear that need to eliminate nightshades. You hear that you need to eliminate certain other foods like legumes and whatnot. So you're doing all of these things and you feel great. All of a sudden, you feel a lot more energetic. Things are starting to fall in place for you, which is amazing. And I'll explain to you as to why that is today. But then also what I'm seeing is that so often, all of a sudden, what you're doing doesn't work anymore, quote unquote, doesn't work anymore. And you're like, what am I doing wrong now? What else do I have to eliminate? Why is this not working anymore? And there's a reason why. And today I'm going to be explaining to you as to why that is and the approach that I'm taking in order to keep my Hashimoto's in remission and well managed. So super excited for the session today. Just going to be checking in if somebody's watching live. By the way, if you are watching live, please say hi in the comments. I'm gonna reply to you. I'm so happy when people are actually are being with me here, and I'm not just by myself. I'm just going to be putting my eyes on so I can see something, and so I don't miss any of my notes that I want to share with you. So if you're watching this in the replays, please comment replay and really also share with me your thoughts on what I'm talking about so that I see what your thoughts are, right? Because this information is for you and I'm here to present it, but I want to get your input as well. All right, so let's talk about it. Hashimoto's nutrition, autoimmune nutrition. Should we eliminate or should we not eliminate? So the first thing I want to say here is, and I really want to make that very clear and say it over and over again, Hashimoto's and an autoimmune disease in general, once you are diagnosed with it, it is a lifelong condition. So there's nothing that can, at this point, anyways, there's nothing that you can do in order to quote unquote cure your disease. Okay. I really just want to hone that in because that makes a huge difference in how we approach nutrition with Hashimoto's or any other autoimmune disease. What does that mean? It's a lifelong thing. It means that you cannot choose to go on a fad diet or a one dietary approach for the rest of your life. Why? Why is that? Because you are going through different phases and stages of autoimmune disease. I'll talk about that in a minute, so just hang tight here. You are going through different phases of autoimmune disease in your life. And that actually never really stops. What it is a consistent dance with your body and your immune system and your environment and all of these things in order to keep your autoimmune in remission and well managed. So what that means is that if you are choosing one diet or one nutrition approach that is very restrictive, it might work for a little while, but then it stops working for you because you might be shifting into a different phase of your autoimmune inflammation. And in that phase, your body might be needing different things than what you have been doing before. So this is really just like right on the spot that I wanted to say that because that is really the umbrella of everything that we're going to be talking about today. Um, so I really want to make that clear. I don't want to be somebody who is instilling fear in you or anything like that. Not at all. You can 100% create a environment and body in where you are feeling your absolute personal best. But it comes with consistent changes nutritionally as well as lifestyle wise. And so this is really the thing that we have to work on. So when I say different phases to autoimmune, I kind of like want to give you a little bit of an overview, and then I'll kind of like give you some ideas on what that means nutritionally. Okay, so when you're first, well, no, not even first diagnosed. So the initial phase of autoimmune really is the genetic predisposition. So the genetic predisposition means that you carry certain genes and you are at higher risk for developing autoimmune. Now, a lot of us don't really have that information because Hashimoto's can start like very early on in life. It can start later on in life. It comes out of the blue, even if your parents maybe did not have Hashimoto's, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, what happened here? So we can't really work with that phase, and that is okay. We don't have to. The next phase I want to talk about is the triggering phase. Okay, so the triggering and also slash preclinical autoimmunity, which I like to call silent autoimmunity phase. Okay, so what that means for me is that the triggering phase is a phase where you have the genetic predisposition, and over time, over many years, you have been exposed to environmental factors, different factors. So many triggers out there. I talked about that in my last training with you. Triggers over root causes, like what comes first, we don't really know. Infections, toxins, stress, gut imbalances, diet, medication, viruses may all initiate an autoimmune response, especially if you have many triggers, plus carry the genetic predisposition. There is the triggering phase right there. So, what that means is that your immune tolerance is starting to break down on you, right? Um, you don't you don't realize that. Like, it is silently happening in your body, and only, in retrospect, you kind of see the correlation. So we can't really work with that phase either. The silent autoimmune phase it becomes a little bit more tangible for us. So the preclinical autoimmunity, that means that your autoantibodies have developed. You have created autoantibodies, they're present, but you're not necessarily experiencing symptoms. Maybe some symptoms. So, for example, in Hashimoto's, maybe you have been diagnosed with hypothyroidism, right? So, but this is really a critical phase where, unfortunately, oftentimes we don't get the care that we need. That is why I say, when you are being diagnosed with hypothyroidism, go ahead and make a case for yourself and go to your doctor and ask your doctor to get your antibodies tested. Okay? Because if your blood tests come back and detects autoantibodies, ANA, CCP, NTTPO, whatever it is, that means that there is a constructive decline of immunity already happening in your body. It is silent because you don't have very many symptoms yet. However, it is present and it is going to progress unless you are taking action. So, when it comes to nutrition, and this is really something, um, you know, where nutrition can really shine. If you are in a position, which I wasn't, and unfortunately most of us aren't, that you were actually tested for antibodies and they were really low, but they were present for you, and you are kind of like in that silent autoimmunity phase, not too many symptoms except for a few. If you are starting to intervene with nutrition and lifestyle changes, you can actually really turn this thing around quite quickly. However, unfortunately, a lot of us are not so lucky. So then the next stage would be the established disease phase. So, you know, so your let's just say the silent autoimmunity is not being addressed, and you just go about your life, and then all of a sudden, month after month, year after year, you feel worse and worse. All of these random symptoms are starting to pop up for you. There's clear clinical symptoms with a confirmed diagnosis now that you do have Hashimoto's. That is the established disease phase when not caught early enough in the silent autoimmune phase. So what are the treatment options usually, right? So usually it's some is hormones like thyroid hormones. Sometimes it's immunosuppressants. Sometimes it's other sort of medication that your doctor's prescribing you and things like that. But when it comes to nutrition, this is not something that our doctors, provide us information about on how we can actually use nutrition in order to dial this back. Okay. And then the next phase and the final phase, not the final phase, but the almost the final phase, is chronic or progressive autoimmune, right? So without any management, the disease then becomes chronic and worsens over time, and then potentially causing organ damage. So this is the case. That was the case for me, for example. So I was diagnosed, and not only did I have sky high antibodies, they were over 3,000, but also my thyroid tissue was already partially damaged and destroyed. So I was diagnosed in the very last phase of the autoimmune progression, and during that progressive phase, literally the doctors tell you there's not much you can do about it anymore. You will have to just take your hormones, and then by the end of the day or years down the road, you will then basically lose your thyroid. Or maybe the doctor suggests to you that you want to have your thyroid removed in order to clear it all up and get rid of it. And by the way, that never works. That never works because it is a systemic inflammation. It's not an organ-based inflammation only. And so then the last one is remission or relapse phase, right? So this is the phase where we all want to be in. We all thrive to be in the remission or relapse phase. And that is a really important goal, right? So what that means is that your disease may enter remission. You will just have to continue to manage your flares. And like I said before, you have to dance in life with your disease. It's a long-term lifestyle and medical strategy sometimes that is crucial in order to keep you in that phase. Okay, so these are just like it gives you a really good overview of what is happening as you're progressing through the Hashimoto's disease. And what does it mean for us nutritionally? So what that means for us nutritionally is that I want to start in the phase that most of you are in, and that is either the diagnosed autoimmune disease, so established disease phase, or chronic or progressive phase. So you have clear clinical symptoms, you have a confirmed diagnosis, you have symptoms that are worsening over time. More and more symptoms are popping up for you. There's a slow progression, and you're just trying to manage your quality of life, right? And so here's the thing. When you are in this chronic or progressive phase, when you are in a phase of really high level inflammation, where there are a lot of triggers that have started to really wreak havoc on your body physically, then during this phase, it is very important that you are aware of what is triggering your body. I'm not gonna lie. It's what you want to do is, in order to get your body into remission, you need to be fully aware of nutritionally what is triggering you. So if there are food sensitivities, if there is something that you notice is really cranking up the inflammation another notch, you need to eliminate that food. You want to create an environment, a gut environment, and a whole body environment that is conducive to healing. You want to create a clean slate where you can then bring in therapeutic nutrition and functional foods in order to help bring back balance into all of these body systems. But yes, in the beginning, you will have to, very likely, get rid of gluten. You might have to get rid of soy. You might have to get rid of milk and dairy, things like that. But there's other nutrients that you can definitely keep in your diet. So especially if you're not reacting to them. And reacting, I'm talking about bloating, gas, constipation, mood swings, heart racing, nausea, um, pain in your stomach area, like almost like little mini flares, right? That you're experiencing. If you are not experiencing any of these symptoms with specific foods that you're eating, such as legumes that people are just staying away from, or even whole wheat products, or nightshades, or things like that, there is no reason as to why you should be taking those out of your diet, only because somebody established that all of these foods are, generally speaking, bad for people with Hashimoto's, right? So that is simply not true. There's a lot of studies out there that actually shine a different light on these claims, and there's a lot going on when it comes to nutrition like that. But you don't have to if you're not experiencing any issues. So that is number one. And from then on, ongoingly, You have to see if you are in a chronic or progressive phase, and you are eliminating these foods, then it becomes extremely important for your body to actually receive the nutrients that your body needs in order to heal cells, in order to repair and restore and rejuvenate cellular damage that has been happening on all different levels, in terms of gut health, in terms of liver health, in terms of adrenal health, nervous system, um, hormones, all of these different symptoms that are being affected in Hashimoto's. And if you are feeling overwhelmed, um, don't worry. Next week, day by day by day, I'm gonna go into each of these body systems in depth and give you specific foods that you can actually use in order to help you um, regain balance and alignment in these areas. Okay, so you can write that all down next week, step by step by step. And then by the end of the challenge next week, you'll have a very full toolkit available to you. But today, I just want to give you the umbrella overview of it and how things work. So then, when you are in the chronic and progressive phase and you're eliminating these foods that are causing you issues, then you need to understand, okay, I need a lot of protein. Like I need a lot of amino acids because amino acids are the building blocks of my cells. So I need to bring in more of certain foods. I need to bring in an additional amount of certain foods that have actual healing capacities in your body. You will have to actually really crank your nutrient density up quite a bit consistently for a longer period of time while you are eliminating certain foods. So then over time, as you're doing this, your body is starting to repair, your body is starting to feel a lot better. You are starting to feel symptoms will dissipate, will you know, you feel a lot more, you feel a lot more energy, your brain fog will be lifting, your joint pain will be less, and then eventually it'll be not present anymore. Things like that will happen over time. So when that happens, you can't just be staying in your elimination of foods stage, right? Because in the beginning, you might be one of these ladies that are flaring, when they're eating all sorts of different foods. Like you might be reacting to so many different nutrients that you will have to eliminate a lot of nutrients. Even though I always teach my clients how they can start to cook these things a little bit differently, that your body might even not respond to this food that you are getting a flare from in a certain way that the food is being cooked. So there are certain ways that you can actually change the chemistry of the foods that you are going to be able to eat it. But what I'm going to say here is that when you are starting to feel better and get better, when you are slowly progressing towards the remission or relapse phase, it is very, very crucial that you are establishing a lifestyle that is not fearful of food, that is actually able to bring back foods that you have been eliminating perhaps in vast quantities in order to give your body the nutrients that it needs to keep maintaining status quo. Okay. So that is super, super important. And I see in this phase, like when they're starting to feel better, a lot of people stay stuck in the elimination diet. And all of a sudden, they are actually getting worse. And they're like, I don't know what's happening because getting off of all of these foods really helped me, but now I feel worse. And I hope you understand now as to why that is, because now your body is needing more in order to repair, in order to keep status quo, right? So you have been eliminating, and it gave you that reprieve. But now is the time to renourish, and now is the time to bring back those nutrients in order to bring you to the next level. And that is where a lot of people are staying stuck on their journey. And when you're doing this, when you're starting to actually, triple your nutrient density with whole foods, you will happen that you will see that you are going to be starting to feel like a normal person, and you will feel a sense of um, just joy and gratitude for this journey that you've been on, because it has taught you so much. Yeah, but this is a different story for another day. So I hope this makes sense to you. So what we did today is I walked you through the different phases to autoimmune development, and I gave you an overview of how nutrition can impact those different phases. And if you want to learn more about, like, very specifically what is happening in your gut health, in Hashimoto's, what is happening in your detoxification pathways, in your liver health, in your adrenal health, your nervous system health, all of these different components, what is really happening and what kind of nutrients can I bring in order to help my body progress to remission phase, then I would highly suggest that you join us next week. Just comment "I'm in" here under this video, and I will reach out to you with further information about the registration, about the workbook, about the recipes, and things like that. It's going to be an amazing event, and I'm very, very grateful that I'm able to give that information to you guys for free next week. And I hope that you guys will truly enjoy it and take away a lot of information that you can implement in your life right away. All right, everybody, that was it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this session, and I'll see you again very soon.